Today's story is a gem. It is from a captivating and deeply moving song that is part of the rich tradition of Kannada folklore. This age-old song tells the song of a cow named Punyakoti who unexpectedly crosses paths with the fierce and hungry tiger named Arbhuta. Accepting her fate as Arbhuta's potential prey, Punyakoti makes one final request, which Arbhuta graciously grants. In the end, Punyakoti's steadfast dedication to truth and righteousness leaves a strong impression on Arbhuta, ultimately saving her life. The song is called Govina Haadu, Govu meaning cow, and Haadu meaning song. The title translates to the song of a cow. It is also known as Punyakoti Kathe or Punyakoti story. Like me, if you grew up in the state of Karnataka, then you too have either heard the song or the story or even heard references to the power of truth in the story of Punyakoti. The song is said to be based on a story from one of the Puranas, the Padma Purana. This retelling is based on the song Govina Haadu as retold by B.M. Shrikantayya, who is a translator, author and writer of Kannada literature. Now let's begin the story of Punyakoti. In a land known as Karnataka, which is made up of 56 regions, there lived a cowherd named Kalinga. He lived close to the forest with his cherished herd of cows. Every morning, Kalinga would rise early, take a refreshing bath in the nearby river, and wear fresh clothes. He would then relax under the shade of a mango tree, enjoying his day by playing sweet melodies on his flute. As the time approached for milking, Kalinga prepared to tend to his beloved cows. His affection for them was evident, and anyone familiar with rural India knows that people often give their cows endearing names. Kalinga was no exception. He had named each of his cows. He called them with warmth, saying, "Come here, Ganga. Come here, Gauri. And you too, Tungabhadra and Kamadhenu, Punyakoti and Punyavahini." Hearing Kalinga's familiar voice filled with love and adoration, the animals rushed to him to do his bidding. Kalinga milked the cows, and as usual, his pots brimmed with fresh milk. Once that task was complete, he guided the cows towards the forest. The cows followed him at a leisurely pace. In the forest, surrounded by mountains and lush vegetation, they discovered an ideal spot nestled between the valleys to graze. Meanwhile, not too far from where the cows were grazing, and unbeknownst to both the cows and Kalinga, a ferocious tiger named Arbhuta lived in a cave at the foot of the mountains. It had been a grueling 7 days since Arbhuta had last eaten. He was terribly hungry. He prowled the mountains around his cave, desperate for his next meal. The predator Arbhuta sensed the presence of the herd of cows nearby. He quickly made his way to where the cows were grazing peacefully. With a thunderous roar, Arbhuta sprang towards the cows, sending them into a frenzy. They bolted in every direction, desperately trying to put as much distance as possible between themselves and the famished tiger. Only one cow remained behind. Unaware of the other cow's desperate escape, a cow named Punyakoti ambled along. Her thoughts were focused on her young calf who was waiting for her back at the barn. Arbhuta felt a rush of relief upon spotting the vulnerable cow. He was finally going to satisfy his hunger. He approached Punyakoti and positioned himself to ensure his catch. Arbhuta threatened Punyakoti. "I'll tear your skin with my claws and cut you open," he roared. Punyakoti knew at once that there was no escape. She was frightened, but she had to ask Arbhuta her last wish. "Can you grant me one last wish?" she pleaded. "My young calf is waiting for me in the barn. Would you let me return to him for just a few minutes? I wish to feed him one last time, and then I promise I will come right back to you." Arbhuta didn't believe Punyakoti. Do you think I'm a fool? He sneered. Why would I release a meal I've caught when I'm enduring hunger? And what reason do I have to trust that you would come back to me after I let you go? Punyakoti pleaded with Arbhuta and tried her best to convince him. Let the Trimurtis witness my vow. I promise I will return. I swear by the sun and the moon that I shall come back to you. I pledge on Mother Earth I will return. Her heartfelt pleas ultimately convinced Arbhuta. After assuring Arbhuta that she would honor her promise, she sets off to see her child one last time. Punyakoti rushed back to the barn. She searched for her beautiful son in the barn, and upon finding him, she immediately fed him her milk. When her son finished drinking, she cautioned him about the dangerous tiger lurking in the mountains. She advised him to stay alert and avoid wandering or grazing in that area. With a heavy heart, she shared with him the events that had transpired between her and the hungry tiger and what she needed to do next. Her young calf was frightened. Please don't go, Amma, he pleaded. You don't have to leave. No one will hold it against you. Others in your situation might choose not to go back, he argued. Punyakoti told her son that she would not break a promise she made in good faith. It was simply not right, and she could not accept it. She said, To me, truth is like our mother and father. Truth is our kin and friend. Would the Lord be pleased if I disregarded such a bond? Her calf was now distressed. But if you are gone, whose milk will I drink, Amma? Who will I live with? Who will I sleep next to, and who will take care of me? He asked. Punyakoti looked around her slowly and called out to her friends. These were all cows she had grown up with. She told them, My son will soon be an orphan. Please look after him as if he were your own. Be patient with him. Treat him like your child. Take care not to bump into him or kick him while he walks beside you, she pleaded. With that, Punyakoti bid farewell to her son. I regret that I must leave, she said, wrapping him in a warm embrace. You will be orphaned, I know, but as a prey, I have to pay our debt to the tiger, she explained one last time, hoping her young son would understand. She released her son and left to go back to the cave where death awaited her. On her way, she stopped over at the holy lake to take her last bath. From there, she walked to the cave to face the tiger yet again. Arbhuta was astonished when he heard Punyakoti calling for him, and he discovered her standing at the entrance of his cave. Punyakoti told Arbhuta, I have returned. My flesh and blood are now yours to consume. Eat me and live contentedly. Punyakoti's sincere words and actions moved Arbhuta to tears. He was shaken by her bravery and honesty. He grappled with feelings of guilt and uncertainty about taking her life as he felt a kinship with the truthful cow. Arbhuta thought to himself, how can I hunt someone I hold in such high regard? It feels as though she is my kin. Harming her wouldn't be right. The Lord would never forgive me. So Arbhuta declared, I cannot bring myself to kill you. You are my kin, and it is impossible for me to kill you. There's nothing to be gained by eating you. I would rather give up my own life at your feet than harm you. To which Punyakoti responded, why would you refuse to eat me? Why would you choose death instead? You are hungry and I am your prey. Eat me and satisfy your hunger. That is the natural order. Once more, Punyakoti's wise and selfless words moved Arbhuta to tears. He looked around him in contemplation. He was profoundly distressed because, despite his intense hunger, the thought of harming Punyakoti felt like an unforgivable act. In that moment, he was overwhelmed by the weight of his predicament. He walked to the edge of the mountain, offered a final prayer to the Lord, and then leapt up into the sky, plunging down the mountainside to end his life. Satyave Bhagavanta Nemba Punyakotiya Khateidu. This is the story of Punyakoti, who believed in truth as her god.